Oh no! Ah! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Resident Evil Village Spoilercast here on the GigaBoots Podcast Network. I'll be your host for this one, KZxcellent of KZxcellent.com, and with me to talk about Resident Evil Village is Bob from GigaBoots.com.
I enjoy punching boulders.
And Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I enjoy marrying war criminals.
Especially when there's no consequence for that in the slightest. We're here to talk about the newest Resident Evil game that released this past week or so. We all played it. We'll give reviews, thoughts, scores, all that kind of good stuff. What we usually try to do and open these up with is each person's gonna give some impressions and a sound of how they're feeling on the game before at the end of the whole thing, after we've discussed the game, where we give a more proper review and score from 1 to 10. So we're gonna start with Feel. Give me your impressions and a sound.
Resident Evil 8 is really great. It improves on 7 in basically every single conceivable way, although it still has a few minor issues. So I'm going to give it a
All right, let's move over to Bob.
Resident Evil 8 feels like it's in a weird middle ground between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7. It's interesting, and I like a lot of things it does, but I'm still just going to give it a
That's fair. For me, I went into this not expecting to really dig it, coming off Resident Evil 7, but it is a major improvement in pretty every conceivable way to 7. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm going to give it a So now that we've given some general thoughts, how do we want to do this? Do we want to split it into chunks or something? Or do we, or it's we'll talk about this part of the game and kind of move through the structure? Or do we want to just shoot randomly? How are we feeling on this?
We could just shoot randomly.
Yeah.
You can't miss if you just randomly shoot. If you're not aiming at anything specifically, it's impossible to miss.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah, what's up?
I so badly want to get through the worst aspect of this game right at the front. I want to talk about Mercenaries now.
Well, Mercenaries is pretty bad.
Wow.
Because it means we never have to talk about it again.
That's fair. I feel like Mercenaries really highlights a lot of problems I have with the game in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that can work.
Okay. So they brought back Mercenaries. There are 2 sets of levels here. They take you through the various areas of the village, castle, factory, and the Mad Village. And you go through those, and the basic concept of it is that there's a set of enemies per stage, and you're supposed to create a route where you're constantly hitting them before the time runs out that resets your combo, which makes it infuriating because it also includes the worst part of the factory and a search for the spawns of enemies thing. And then they give you a second set of levels that is the same thing. It seems to be the exact same thing with the exact same enemies, but they're bigger damage sponges and kill you in 2 hits. This mode's really bad.
Yeah, that second set of levels is absurd. You don't get to make any guns you want to use. You basically have your pistol and a magnum that gets 5 shots.
They give you less stuff, because you'll go through Mercenaries normally, and early on my strategy was sell the handgun, sell the other 2 special ammo types, buy the machine gun pistol, and run with that, because it felt pretty good. You can't do that in this one. You can't do that in the second set. They strip those guns out and give you the grenade launcher and the magnum, and everything gets you in 2 hits, and they take 8 times more damage.
Yeah, it's really bad. They don't even let you choose, okay, I like using a shotgun. You don't even get a shotgun. But even before you hit those, I feel like the mode's super rough because it's just using literal old stages. It's not making something new like they do in other mercenary modes. And it's not about making a big combo from constantly spawning enemies. It's like KZ said, just knowing exactly where they will spawn enemies, which seems like just super ill-defined. Like, if we're always a certain location, that'd be one thing. But it seems like it's, okay, after you kill these guys in this area, another guy will pop up in this area, and then you have to go back to an old area. It's a mess.
It's a very old style where it's like you need to know what the route is, which is you need to watch a video on YouTube of someone who did it to know which rooms you do in which order.
Basically. And then, like you were saying, the factory is one of the worst because it's two of the most similar areas in the entire game bolted together.
They literally picked the worst room of the entire factory and went, this is where all the factory stuff will be based upon.
Yep.
It's kind of insane.
Also, like, I was using the shotgun, so I had to sell my pistol ammo every time. It takes forever to sell all my pistol ammo because they don't have a way of sell all. You have to just hold right for like 30 seconds.
A really bad strat, Bob. I did this so much that my strat, I realized if you hit right on the D-pad and then hit right on the stick at the same time, it starts going at double speed as a part of a glitch for at least 4 seconds.
Oh my god.
And then you have to like reapply it, but it got me a little out of there a little faster. They should have put loadouts in this. It is fucking ridiculous that it's like, I fucked up my chain really early on the factory. I guess I'll restart. I guess I'll spend 2.5 minutes recreating my gun setup.
Yeah, this is something else was solved in the older games. Every one of the older games, like, you have these characters, each of them has their own loadout. It's a game where you pick a loadout and you have fun. Like, they didn't add in some weird extra feature like this. It just made it worse. I don't know what they were thinking.
I'm kind of surprised they even bothered with how nothing this mode is.
Yeah,
it's like the combat isn't like there's not enough to the combat, I think, to even really support Mercenaries.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say.
You shoot them.
Yeah.
You shoot them.
I do like shooting them.
And you shoot them.
Yeah, the Mercenaries works because there's more than just shooting.
Yeah, and like certain characters can do different things as their extra stuff. Like in RE4, Wesker has like his punch that fucking eviscerates things, and Krauser can do the blade arm if you kill enough guys. And Ethan can't. Ethan can shoot.
He can, but you can pick up those little power-ups. I don't know if that's in the other ones. This is the first time I've actually played Mercenaries ever.
I don't think those upgrades are in any of the others, but they're a good idea, and I hope they're in Mercenaries in 4, in the remake of 4.
Their only thing that makes this mode exciting at all.
Yeah, they're like a little blue orb with like the giant's chalice in it. You smash it, and then they give you 3 random power-ups to choose from. Some of them later on become pretty good. Like you get Magic Magazine, so it like just doubles your gun ammo capacity forever. And later some stuff that like makes the knife really good. I think that's like the Masamune one. Or like speed upgrades. It gets to the point where it kind of feels cartoonish how fast I was going with 2 speed upgrades.
Yeah, and there's one that's like, you don't take damage while blocking anymore. You're just invincible while you're holding that button.
Yeah, or you're just healing every time you shoot a shot. And then the fact that they completely changed the upgrade system for the guns in what their upper limit is. So I'm just running with the machine handgun. And I max out that reload speed, and I'm like, that animation's broken. That's playing at like triple speed. It looks wrong, but I do like that it's happening in less than 1/4 of a second.
Yeah, I wish that you got that fast in the regular game because it's so ludicrous.
Yeah, it gets cartoonish, just how arcadey that stuff is. But for an arcade style mode like this, you really just need easy retries in every way. And the loading of the game is fantastic, where everything is instant, at least on PS5. That it's like, this is perfect. I just need you to... I could tolerate this mode if there was no second set of levels. You added 4 more seconds to the combo thing, and you gave me loadouts. Then I'd be like, I won't get too angry at you, but the way... That second set is immediately terrible that I didn't want to engage with any of its later versions.
Yeah, I don't think I even got past the first one of the extra set levels. I was just like, yeah, this is not fun.
I died. I'm like, I'm dying in this part. And you didn't change anything about it. I would have been like, okay, this one, if it's the Village 2, it's going to be like different enemy placements. And it, from what I can tell, no, they're just stronger.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anything different about it. It's just like, here's the weakest gun in the game, and now everything kills you.
Number go up.
And I don't want to deal with that, especially when I hit the fucking the Nightmare Factory, where it's like, fight the big dude with all the trash on him. And I'm like, no, knowing this second mode, you're probably going to expect me to throw 3 pipe bombs at him.
Possible.
And I don't know if I really want to really want to deal with that. I looked up YouTube guides because I was like, maybe I'll plat this game, which because of the Mercenaries trophy, I will not. I will stand at like 98%. Every video I saw, I couldn't find one YouTube comment that said anything nice about the Mercenaries mode in regards to the second set of levels. All of them were like, man, they sure ruined this.
Yeah, I don't.
Why is this impossible?
It's not a good mode.
And then the people making the video said, this is kind of bullshit. They should patch this or just let people fucking unlock the lightsaber you get for double S-ing everything. Just like the other RE games, like a fucking instant unlock DLC.
Yeah, because I would like to see that lightsaber, but I have no interest in double S-ing all of these.
Yeah, I single S'd everything and double S the first village level. So I did decently well on like the first set, but that second set, I'm just like, no, it's not. If I'm running into one of the vampire sisters and I can't just unload in one clip and kill them, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
Especially because the factory, you almost assuredly have an encounter where you're fighting 2 at the same time in a hallway.
Ooh.
But if you're using the shotgun, it like takes half their health in one shot. So it's kind of all right. They job even harder than they do in the main game. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, on normal mode it's fine. Like by that time I see them, they can usually die within one shot. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, oh, you got break shot, which makes it more damage to the first time you shoot something. So it's just like, yes. They're dead.
And then that could probably feed into if you picked up the headshot perk or the shotgun master perk.
Yeah.
That just adds damage across the board. There's a lot of stuff in here that is good stuff that, could be mixed into a good mode. But they really misstepped in a lot of this, and I'm really sad they put a trophy behind this.
Yeah, we should probably move on from Mercenaries. All that's left to say is it's bad. It's sad that it's even here because it's this bad.
Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to get it out in the front so we never have to talk about it ever
again.
So let's get into something a bit more on the positive side. I guess we'll go. Bob, what was your like favorite area to go through and some of the stuff that like fed into that for you?
I think my favorite area ended up being like the first part was the village and moving to the castle. The castle has a lot of neat stuff where it works back into itself. And
oh yeah,
it's really trying to do the speedrun of this game.
Yeah,
which is something I did. It made me realize so much how either I'm just really bad at dealing with first person understanding areas compared to third person, or this game is especially bad about feeling like I'm super claustrophobic. Like
it's that one. This game is like has noticeably, at least to me, more like complicated level design than either RE2 or 3, the remakes.
Yeah, but I feel like if it were the same level design, but I had third person view, I could understand it a lot better, which I think that I didn't have that big a problem in the first 2 areas, but after that it was bad.
A little bit.
Also, the map is bad no matter what.
The map in a certain aspect is impressively rough. Here's a straight road in the village. We're not going to show the fact that there's just shit on that road. So you don't use that road. We made it look clear. Yeah, but it is not clear.
That's really bad.
There's several roads like that. And then there's also, it'll highlight treasures on different floors than they are. This only happened to me once, but it really screwed me up. It's like I was looking everywhere, but apparently that thing was underground.
Yes, I was thinking of this. I think it was on the same one where it's the stronghold treasure, and I'm like, I'm walking up and down this place, and I don't. It's at the end when you finish it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really do like the castle, the way it kind of loops in on itself, where you start in that main lobby, and they're like, okay, you pick up that eye jewel, you go up the stairs to the right, and then that leads you down a set, and then you eventually find yourself back there, and then you do the left, and then you do the left again once you loop back again. So it's very, like, you get it down to a science pretty well, where I'm like, this is taking me a couple of hours on my first playthrough, and then you do it again on an additional run, and like, this is 40 minutes long. This is not a problem at all. Even when you're trying to like get everything in there, including like extra treasures and like picking up that ball that's in every single one of the 4 Lords zones that lets you play the weird tilt the diorama to get the ball into the thing.
It's weird that they made that game and there's no tilt controls.
Yes. I was like, this is clearly a gyro thing. I think when you were streaming, I made the joke of like, don't worry, Bob, just flip it onto its back and get the ball to the back of it, and then it'll fall into the hole, just like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, they were too cowardly.
I like that the first 3 are perfectly fine, but the 4th one's hard.
It was kind of baffling when I got to the 4th one on my second playthrough. It was like, wait, this is hard. What the heck? Yeah, no other one was hard.
Yeah. You hit the factory one, and there's like, we have 8 fail states here, and I'm like, the other ones had maybe 1.
I mean, I was fine with it. What kept killing me on that one, honestly, was I couldn't figure out where they wanted the ball to go at the end. So I got to the very end of the puzzle and just dropped it into air like 3 times.
Like what? Like after you've gotten on the little yellow tram car?
Yeah, I got on the trolley and was like, where do they want it? Because
I assume where it's going.
I dropped it at the end of the trolley moving to the left. And it just, I guess it missed. Just some way. Okay. So I was like, I don't know where it goes now.
All right. Feel. Do you have a favorite area? What is it? Talk about it.
It's hard, because I do like the castle, but I think more interesting things happen in the factory. Like you have that, like the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And the enemies in the factory are unhinged like Propeller Face.
I mean, that is really good.
Sturm, Airman.
Also the guys who are just like weird jetpack monsters that Heisenberg built.
I love the factory. It might be my favorite area because of the escalation of how stupid those enemies. You arrive in there and you see the conveyor belts of people. Just in the back, and I'm like,
yeah, it's Killzone Shadowfall.
Yeah, I like a lot of the designs and background in the factory, but I hate actually exploring the factory.
There's only like one small area of the factory that I really hate, and it's like the room where there's like 2 staircases and it loops back on itself, and of course that room has to be in Mercenaries mode.
Yes,
that room is both Mercenaries maps.
Yeah, that's something else we didn't talk about in Mercenaries. A lot of the mercenary modes are, here is this set of levels, but really it's the same area, but from a different direction. So it's just a nightmare, and it's like, oh, you need to remember enemy layout for this place that looks identical to this other place.
It really does kill me that the village was the only time those levels actually, it felt like they were using stuff at all. Like when I hit Mad Village, and it's like, okay, the same village setting. Oh, here's the one from the very end of the game, but not at nighttime. Okay. Oh, the final map is just the final boss fight, but they drop enemies occasionally as well. I'm like, okay. But then you hit Castle and Factory, and they got nothing.
Yeah.
Factory has it worse. Like, at least Castle lets you do the dungeon at the start before just making you do the lobby and the outside vista thing over and over again. Yeah, I think the Factory is really good. I love the escalation of the enemies, where at first it's just zombies with VR headsets on, and then you get a dude with a drill arm, then two drill arms, then an airplane. They just have jets now.
Then the guy who's just like all metal and has 2 drill arms and does a DMC stinger, but he telegraphs it with his eye laser first.
Yes, I also love how their hitbox works, where they'll do the big attack, and I'm like, that didn't hit me. And then I slightly graze it 2 seconds after the attack went out, and then I just get launched fucking up 2 feet away.
And then as you're being launched, you're like, oh, he has a weak point on his back.
Yes. Where I was like, God damn it. Because you have to shoot the arc reactor of all of these enemies, which seemed incredibly smart, because my first thought when seeing them is, oh fuck. You're gonna make me focus now? And then you get the giant garbage men, where they're like, we just piled. That's a ball. That's a ball of shit. You're gonna have to blow all of it off before you can even see that it has one. You get a bunch of notes about them that like describe them and stuff, and I like the one for Sturm, which is the big propeller one that chases you twice, that just says, yeah, this was a failure. It's so fucking stupid. It chopped off its own arms with the propeller.
I never got that part.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, he's like, I can't even use this. And I look in the concept art, and they're like, in early stages, we were going to make this Heisenberg's dad.
Oh my god.
That's really funny. I also liked Heisenberg yelling at it before you even see it the first time.
Yeah, shut your fucking hole.
God damn it.
Yeah, Heisenberg's real strong.
He's definitely my favorite of the 4 kings.
He's so funny. I love it because his introduction of encasing you in metal, all I yelled was, how do you beat that? It's done. It's like, I knew it was going to be a gimmick boss fight, because I'm like, you shoot him and it just won't work.
Yeah, no, it was really, like, he's incredibly cool all the way up until he decides to turn into a kaiju so he can die.
Yeah, I really wish there was like at least there had been at least like a round 1 where he's just swinging his Bloodborne hammer.
Yeah, like, I feel like if this were Resident Evil 5, then we would fight him and he'd have Wesker-style Matrix powers, and it would have been great. But no, we couldn't have that. He had to turn into a giant monster and die.
Yeah, he immediately starts turning into it. I was like, okay. And then they make you fall through a hole, and then Chris is like, look at this thing Heisenberg made that is specifically made to kill only him.
I thought Chris said he made it.
Chris built that.
Oh, okay, because he said it.
That's why he was like, hand me the wrench.
Oh, okay. The way he said it made it sound like this is something Heisenberg was working on that happens to have that polymer stuff. Made me think like of some like thing he was working on, then left alone, then Chris fixed it up and put a chainsaw on it for no reason.
I like that Chris built a riding lawnmower with guns. It's like the DMC meme almost.
They're like, we need to put this chainsaw on the left side so that when you block, you're parrying with a chainsaw.
It'll look real cool.
Yeah, that was that you got that and had a battle with it made up for Heisenberg owning himself. But only slightly.
I was all about this. I was fucking marking out the entire fight for that. I think it was really neat. It also loops back into the thing that happens with so many games. It's not limited to this, where you have a gimmick fight in a video game and you have a super hard mode in your video game. I'm going to no longer like your gimmick fight.
Oh.
You cannot heal during the mech section of that field. So on Village of Shadows, even with blocking, you take 3 hits. You must blow up. You must either hit him with a cannon or hit one of his weak spots to make it blow up about 16 times.
Oh.
It immediately changes how you use that cannon from, I'm going to use it to like blow up something easy, to, I need to shoot that to move him. I need to move him out of the way or move him over here. Like that part where he gets the plates around him and spins. That's the most important part of that fight, because that means the next phase I can block shit.
Man.
Real important.
That reminds me of Resident Evil 5 and how it turned the turret Gatling gun segment from like a fun little diversion 1 level to the worst part of that whole video game.
Yeah, but it does feel freeing when you get past that phase, and I'm like, I'm back to my current loadout, which is a maxed out second version of the Magnum. I shoot 4 shots, the second phase is done.
That second phase was really funny for me because it was complete coincidence, but he was screaming that he couldn't be defeated as I was unloading the magnum into him, and he didn't get to finish the sentence before his head exploded in the screen.
I'm a genius. Oh no.
So it's like, you can't beat me, you're just flesh. Oh, fuck.
It was great. So I was reminded here of it. Thought I would mention here that, before it leaves my mind. There's a part in this game, after you beat it, you get the Resident Evil 3 Remake Challenge shop, where all the achievements and additional achievements give you points, and you can cash those points out for bonuses. That's a really good system, where, like, if you want unlimited ammo for a gun, you need to get every attachment, and then you need to fully upgrade it, and then you go to the shop, and you can unlock the unlimited ammo thing. This game having multiple save slots allowed that to be broken. Because I realized I make a save, sell everything I own and every weapon I own except for one. I now have $1.4 million. I fully upgrade the Magnum, save in a new slot, quit the game, go into the challenge shop to buy unlimited Magnum ammo, load the old save before I sold anything. Hey, my Magnum has unlimited ammo now.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. God,
yeah, I need to take this into consideration.
I need to do that.
I realized this after I upgraded the best handgun, which is the machine gun one. So I'm like, I sell this, it's worth 1.1 million. So I'm like, I can just cycle this out for every weapon in the game.
Yeah, I really need to do that because those, like, doing this by hand would take so many playthroughs because there isn't like a good just money grind way. You can't just get money from Mercenary mode or something.
Yeah,
it's like RE4 where like some enemies drop small amounts and there's treasures.
Mm-hmm. And big treasures, big unlockable stuff like gun attachments you find in a safe, or you find the sniper rifle in the castle. They just replace that with a bag of money. Like the place where the Magnum is that you get in the game is like replaced with 30,000. Just in a bag, which I appreciated, but yeah, I'm glad this exploit existed because you pick up the stake, which is the better Magnum, and I don't necessarily want to pump $2.4 million to max that out.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
But then even the Magnum gets outclassed when you beat Village of Shadows and you unlock the hand cannon that is just a hand cannon that uses sniper rifle rounds.
Oh.
Yes.
Have you beaten have you gotten the rocket pistol, Casey?
Yes, it is hilarious.
Does it fire actual explosives?
It looks like it shoots fireworks, where it shoots a little light bulb when it hits something, it explodes like fireworks and confetti and shit.
Oh, that sounds neat.
Yeah. So I was like, I need to do a meme run at some point with that fucking super strong hand cannon and that rocket pistol. And by then, hopefully, I'll be able to pay Capcom $5 to use the Darth Maul lightsaber.
Yes.
Which seems like a really good time. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that you can totally, like, exploit that stuff. So our executive producer off screen posted this screenshot of a playthrough of the game that was involved with Bob, in which Chris's crew said, "This might turn into a fight with Heisenberg, but I think I found something useful. He left behind one of his toys laying around, and it's even made of a metal polymer composite, effectively proving that Heisenberg did in fact create his own weakness."
So
what an idiot! What a fucking moron!
So he's like,
everybody in this game is so stupid.
Yes, but he's like Batman, where he needs to like create a way to kill any of his allies, but he did it for himself.
Yeah, with Batman, it's like I have a secret files on how to kill these people. But and you open Batman's file, it's just a gun.
Yes.
And then you get fucking Lady Dimitrescu, who's like, yeah, I'm gonna have this castle where one of the coffins is a knife that can kill me.
Yes, she has her one weakness in a coffin in her castle.
A knife in a file that's like, this knife can destroy any supernatural beast, and I'm like, excuse me?
I was so upset when Ethan dropped because I thought that was going to be your I can shoot them and then use that weapon.
That would have been nice. This game, the whole game feels just weirdly like there should be more to the combat. Yeah.
Because Ethan gets his fingers bitten off in the start, and they're gone the whole game.
Yeah, you think something's gonna maybe he'll get like some sort of prosthetic or a robot arm or
something. And I thought, okay, like as soon as that happens, like, okay, so I'm gonna get some kind of thing to flesh out this combat more, so I don't just shoot them in the face. Except they're so much faster than RE4. I can't even head pop like I can in RE4. I have to just empty the clip into their chest, so it feels way less involved.
Also, there's not as... I got bothered because there's the zombie-like enemy that's like bald, kind of like the like Fallout Ghoul ones that are also in the factory with the visors. Yeah. Their heads don't pop off.
Huh.
They just... Their heads never explode. Lycans do.
Yeah, no Lycans do.
But these dudes, no.
Did you guys get the pun? Their very clever pun.
What?
Lycan and lichen as in mold and lichen as in werewolf are pronounced the same.
Oh. I thought you were going to say the fucking one of the first trophies you get of I'm not liking that.
Yes.
Which was pretty good. This game added something really exciting for people. It added the attaché case because this was leaning more into RE4. I enjoyed messing around with it, but my first playthrough did not need to actually make room ever.
Yeah, I didn't need to make room once. Like it felt like we're implementing this system because we're remaking RE4 and we want to get it off the ground first. You won't actually have to use it.
Future runs I definitely did because I started buying more guns.
Yeah.
Like I get the machine gun and then I get the Magnum, and then it does become a thing of, do I really need this much rifle ammo? Because you always have more rifle ammo than anything else, because just I feel like everyone just defaults to the other two.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Phil was saying, it feels like it's implemented for the sake of RE4 remake. I kind of felt that way about this whole game. Like the whole thing feels like it's a weird beta mix. It's
kind of insane
for a Resident Evil 4 remake. It's a bunch of areas that they'll need to be able to use, like a bunch of assets they can use in that game. There's the way enemies moves feels like it would be something they'd do in Resident Evil 4.
Oh, it's once a lichen ducked under my shotgun crosshair and like went along the ground and popped up in front of me. I'm like, oh, you're just. It's never been more transparent.
And then you hit the end of the game, and Chris has to take on a dude with tentacles on his back, and that's his main weakness, is that he crouches down and you have to shoot him in the back.
They look exactly like the fucking Las Plagas tentacles.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just entirely jet black.
Here's our big fish boss.
Yeah. But this one's really funny because it yells it's the best.
Watch me, mama.
Here's our giant guys that we really only have to scale up like 40% more, and they're just El Gigante.
Yes.
In fact, like the mini bosses that are bald guys with the weapons.
Yeah, like
you just got to make them a little bigger and like widen them, like highlight them and stretch them wider, and then their last plot, they're El Gigante.
Yeah. No, it's weirdly transparent.
Just shrink the big wolves and they become those horrible dogs.
Not a fan of this.
Those dogs were a really good introduction to the Magnum though, because they just spawn one almost immediately in front of you when you pick up the Magnum in the very first time in the game.
Yeah.
And that dude would whip your ass the first time he showed up. But then when you just pop him twice with the Magnum and he dies instantly. I'm like, oh, this Magnum's real powerful. Makes me feel big and strong.
I forgot they're really good about teeing that stuff up, where there's just straight up a note of, I fucked up this one dude and he turned into a lichen, but I did it over up in my fucking doctor's office up the way, and that's where the Magnum is. And then there's just the dude there. It's like, oh yeah, you did warn me that there straight up is just one here.
Not just that, but when you find that lady's husband dead.
Yes.
He's like, I have to get here. There's a thing that'll let me kill this giant fucking wolf. and that thing is the Magnum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I'd be confident too if I had this fucking gun.
It's so extra too with all the gold trim and everything in it.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised about that being on the Magnum. I was surprised when that was on the grenade launcher.
Yes. And the fact you can do nothing to the grenade launcher at all. Like there's no upgrade path or anything. They're like, fuck you. It's already good. Just get infinite ammo if you want.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing there wasn't like a better grenade launcher like other Resident Evil have, where it's like a 6-rounder.
I wish there was at least more kinds of ammo. Like I would have liked there to be acid rounds and freeze rounds.
Yeah, I would have loved like acid rounds for like dot damage would have been good.
Please, Capcom. We need the mine thrower, and we need to be able to despawn enemies in 4K.
Or will they think the despawning looks too cheap and they needed to make it more extravagant in some way?
Hopefully not. I mean, they were able to just spawn dudes in Mercenaries, so...
True, you leave the castle's front gate, walk 2 steps and 2 lichens, pop in 6 feet in front of you.
It's like a level of just hard spawning in that hasn't been seen since Dragon Age 2.
It's like PlayStation Vita draw distance. It's kind of crazy. It's like that. You're not popping in a bush. That's an entire man.
Well, he's there now. He's ready to get you.
Yeah.
There's no effect or anything. Like some people would be like,
"Oh, there's nothing. There's nothing. He pops in running." Man, they really ratcheted up the scares this time. I'm like, I didn't know I was going to have to deal with this problem immediately.
Speaking of scares, what did everybody think of the designated horror segment, the dollhouse?
These assholes said in interviews before this game came out, yeah, we made this game less scary. I'm like, this is the scariest thing you ever done. I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing fucked me up more than when you first see that baby. And I went, no,
that baby's scary as shit.
No, man, no.
There's a lot of really good horror in this, like just like the existential horror of being told that's your fucking baby's head in that jar you're holding.
Yeah, that was like, I like a lot of things the story does, especially that was something you would not expect.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of Ethan's best moments too, in terms of just going, what the fuck? What? No,
Ethan's great. I like Ethan a lot more thanks to this game.
I like him because every one-liner is terrible. That makes me like him more.
They need to be one step more genuine. Like he needed like at least one moment where he says something so fucking stupid after killing someone. Like he needed to go full Evil Dead for one line. Only one. Like he needed to pick up the Magnum and say, "Groovy."
His best one-liner literally is just him saying "eat shit" against one of the bosses, because all the other ones are just like, man, you're so lame, Ethan. Well, but that's what you're supposed to be.
Yeah, they really went in on that.
He's like, I'm lame one-liners and knowing how to take a bunch of hits to where I'm like, yeah, you're kind of a Chad.
I saw someone online, I'm not sure who it was anymore, but it was like, Ethan's solution to literally every problem is the worst solution. And
yes, it is.
It's like
that the thing where he gets strung up on hooks and goes, all right, I'm gonna just pull down and split open my hands.
Yeah, I kind of liked that. That part kind of liked it because he's like, well, I can see that bottle of goo over there. I know what that stuff does. Time to get down from these hooks. Oh boy.
Oh. Yeah, no, it's real rough. I mean,
it's like I love that like the complete acceptance of Ethan accepting like his supernatural healing factor, and that actually playing into the story and not just being a weird abstraction.
Yeah, because I feel like everyone just goes, okay, this is just some wacky video game thing. Fucking, you can get your leg cut off with a shovel in the previous game. Oh, she slobbed off your hand, and you got to go pick it up, add it to your inventory during that chase scene with Dimitrescu in the dungeon. Let me just pour some goo on it and just.
Okay, it's good again.
The fact that we have to show it's like, oh yeah, my nerves work again and I can move it. I was like, God.
I'm kind of surprised that at no point did you find your fingers.
Yeah, no, that was surprising. Also, it was weird with the hand chop off that it also reattached the sleeve. That bothered me for some reason. I was just like, just make a model without that part of the sleeve, please.
No, the mold. Look, the goo's really strong.
Bob, it's a mold shirt.
Okay.
Thank you, executive producer Dan VideoGames.
Also,
Go ahead, Bob.
What's up, Bob?
Before we get too far from it, I think the dollhouse is really neat, and I like having the puzzles and stuff there. I hate doing that on repeated playthroughs. I really do.
Yeah, it's a bit rough. It's great that I just literally went on my second playthrough. I just wrote on a note here the code on the ring, so that it immediately cuts that part out.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else was just memorized. I'm like, I only need to examine like 2 or 3 pieces of this thing. Occasionally I'll fuck up the music box puzzle because it's like they make 2 scratches align perfectly, so you got to remember it's like, no, it's that one.
Yeah,
that one.
I just looked at a YouTube video the second time I went through that. I was like, okay, this is just what the heck are you want from me here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, speaking of puzzles, did anybody else play the piano in the castle and just look at what you were gonna have to do and be like, oh no, fuck this, and then it's like, oh, it actually tells you, it actually shows you what.
Yeah, I was very relieved that it was forgiving on that puzzle because I would never have been able to finish it.
Yeah, no, I would have had to look. Okay, help me.
I was expecting some sort of consequence, either like maybe it damages you, or maybe it makes you do the entire song in one perfect run, but still shows you the visual guide there. But no, they're like, no, just keep mashing. You'll eventually fucking get it after like 1 minute. Here, have this key.
I liked the fire puzzles a lot with the swinging torches.
Especially the one where it involves you setting a dude on fire.
Especially the optional one.
Yes.
I killed the first guy there and I'm like, why didn't he fucking drop anything? And then I realized I couldn't get the torch to that new plate, that new brazier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, you want me to set this guy on fire?
It helped that I got the trophy there for like, you lit it on fire. I was like, oh, okay, let me walk you over here. That definitely feeds into like all the optional stuff that you can do into the game, where it's like, go get these treasures, or go to this place you didn't go before, and now there's just a mini boss. Like they have the Lycan, but they have the super one that has arrows in it and his eyes are red, where I was like, oh god, this dude can take some hits.
And you can go back to like the flower bed before the dollhouse, and there's another guy.
Yeah, but only if you have that plate, only if you have that gravestone, where he's like, no, you're not going to get that before me. And I'm like, yes, I am. I could just walk straight and click it and then leave. But
Yes.
I will fight you because you will drop your loot, which we haven't pointed it out, that you get the crystal loot off special enemy types, and they all look like the most metal shit in the world. I
really love the crystals. Like, plus it's just hilarious. It's like, crystal torso. I'm like, Ethan, why are you carrying these around?
Yeah, no, it's ludicrous. It's like,
you sell Lady Demetresque's one. You just gotta sell.
I have 4 lady torsos with me. An entire hammer. Yeah, it's ludicrous.
This one's a fridge.
Yeah, Heisenberg's hammer is too heavy for you to use, but you can still carry it.
That killed me. Where I'm like, are you sure? I put a lot of stuff in my pocket. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go sell Lady D over to our good merchant, the Duke, who will say, "Oh man, this waste." Oh,
I love the Duke.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's a very good merchant. I'm glad that they went in and made him enjoyable.
Like this active character.
They need to do this to the RE4 merchant. He needs to be a character on the level of the Duke.
Yes. I would love that. I love how active he is. I don't know if I necessarily needed him to say, here are the 4 lords. Now you go through those 3 doors, and then you'll bring back each thing here. I don't know if I necessarily needed him to tell me that. But I guess I appreciate it. Yeah. I did like that he marked the treasure. I feel like that's worth it. But some of it felt like he was guiding me a little too much. But mostly in that part.
I do like how Ethan's just like, who are you? What the fuck's your deal? And he's like, Don't worry about it.
He literally says, I don't know. He's like, I don't even know what's going on, man. I'm just here. Just getting stuff done.
Do any of us really know?
It'd be really funny if, like, somehow he's just really fat Wesker.
That'd be horrible. What the heck?
I can't wear shoes anymore.
Have you seen my son?
Yes. Thank you for bringing me all this fish. Now I can make something for us to eat.
Yeah, the cooking part's really interesting. I wish that they made, like, 3D models of the food he made.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
I like how he has a different remark about each dish.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because he goes, here's your share. And I lost it. I'm like, yep, that absolutely is how this works.
Yeah, he's cooking it for free, so it's half and half.
That's why you need to bring him 6 fish to make even one dish.
Yes. And it turns out you're eating a third of one, but it's like, hey, my movement speed went up. I guess this is okay.
That's another thing that's almost certainly going to be in RE4, because it already had, like, you can collect the eggs and the fish.
Mm-hmm.
God, yeah.
So it feels like almost certain that it'll retain that here, which is good. I like that mechanic. There's a lot of really good stuff in RE8.
You really need those upgrades.
Yeah, I just wish that the basic gameplay was better. Like that.
I guess they felt restricted by the first person perspective.
And we should talk more about the plot. I want to get to, hey, are we not going to do any more first person Resident Evil 8s or sorry, Resident Evils? Cuz we kill off Ethan.
I guess not.
Yeah, because the first person, a lot of it just feels like it is Ethan Winters.
Yeah.
Like this is what you shoot for, and I feel like it's going to be so long before they like jump into 9 possibly, that's like, yeah, it's going to go back to being third person, which I'm like, that's fine.
I think they realized the limitations of the first person perspective in this context.
I mean, it meshed well in 7. I think 7's whole thing of it's very much focused on horror, but when you go into the more actiony direction that Resident Evil should be, honestly,
yeah,
it just hurts it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing beneficial about it, and it's like
they could have added like additional options here. It's not like they were lacking things. Like I went through Resident Evil 7 for the first time like 2 days before this came out, and you do not a hero. And that has a physical option in it.
It does.
Like you stun something and then you get to punch them, or if they're down, you get to stomp them. And there isn't like an equivalent here. I feel like they could have just did that. The closest you get is the section here where you play as Chris, where if something does bite you, his get off is a punch. And I'm like, they really should have tried to integrate that, even if they're not the ones that made that DLC. But I feel like some physical option to follow up stuns in this would at least flesh this out a little bit more.
It was really weird when you get
to
that Chris part and you don't have something like that as him. I was like, well, surely when you play as Chris, you'll have something.
Mm.
The only option you get is your defense, and after you block something, you can do like a counter thing where Ethan pushes the enemy back.
Yeah,
but that entails that you have to take damage from the block, and it feels bad in every way and often won't work. Like I've had it where he grabs the wrong enemy. I've had it where he does nothing after taking a hit. It's really rough.
Yeah, I used it in the factory a little bit, and that's where it felt like it mattered a bit more, because in that, it's usually 1v1 confrontations a lot of the time, because it's a thin hallway and you're fighting like the robots. So I'd shove them, and I'm like, okay, I have enough space, and they're not moving for just long enough that I can shoot like their weak point and stuff. So it felt like it worked there, but there's too many moments in this game where you're fighting groups where that doesn't even enter my mind. Honestly, blocking still has never entered my mind most of the time.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel good to do.
I'll just run away and reposition, because my brain doesn't think of a block mechanic in a first-person shooter.
Yeah, I also forget, especially that you have to like fully lift your arms before you're guarding. So I would just get hit all the time.
Yeah, and then when you get hit in this game, it's really rough because it's like a half-a-minute long animation. I was like, please.
Yeah.
This is neat, but please.
It feeds into Mercenaries mode, making me want to tear my hair out, where it's like, oh no, they accidentally grabbed me. This is a game where you have 8 seconds to get another kill. This animation will last 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's real rough.
Only certain ones, though. Some of them, reasonable, quick bite. Other ones, this is our takedown.
Yeah, you go to the ground, he bites in, he looks at you for a minute, you look at each other in the eyes, then you push him off, and then he bites you again.
Yes, and then I'm like, thank you for all of this. You dealt 15% damage. This was definitely worth all the work you just put in. Taking damage didn't matter too much, but I did do the hardest difficulty because I got every trophy in this except for the Mercenaries one. So I did all of Village of Shadows. I wanted to go through a couple of things with it, just very quickly because I thought it was funny. Lady D's a problem. I had maxed out health upgrades. She hits you once, blood red. It's like, this would have killed me if I didn't fully upgrade health. Like, she is a problem in that mode now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh. But then you'll start hitting some funny things. Like, say you're in the factory, and you get dropped in at the very start, and there's a chase sequence with Sturm, the propeller man. You're like, I just gotta run down here, I turn the corner, I go down here. Real easy. They drop an enemy. They just drop one little dude in that hallway. And I'm like, fuck, what? And I immediately died. Because my brain was not, I was like, this is like run 5. My brain is not prepared for you dropping dudes in here. But I knew they updated enemies, because like the first enemy you get after the intro where they make you fight the Horde, the first thing I find is a fully armored Lycan.
Oh.
I know they're adding dudes, but I wasn't ready for that. That you hit in the factory, the place you use all the molds in, the casting machine, right in front of it, fully armored dude. Like the dude that has all the garbage on top of him, but he's deactivated because you haven't activated those dudes yet. But I'm like, this is hilarious. Just the way they layer in some of the newer enemies a little bit earlier, which made it a bit more thrilling, but I'm still using an infinite ammo Magnum on this difficulty because, good God, I died a few times at the start of the game because it really is like 2 hits on some of the more aggressive and really strong enemies. So you have to be pretty careful with it. But I thought that difficulty was fun. I wish there was like a lower difficulty where you could have that where it's like, we remixed the game slightly. Because I always like that above anything else for a difficulty thing.
Yeah, if you're going to make a hard mode, like, reorganize stuff, please.
It also made House Beneviento scary again. Because the entire time I'm like, what if they change something? What if this thing does a different spawn? It didn't. But I spent the whole time afraid it was going to.
Right, because I think of one-shot you regularly. Like, that's what I got killed by that one of my playthroughs. And I was like, what? It does that? Just instant?
Oh, yeah, the death animation got me. I was like, no, because you just fall in like feet first into its mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's bad.
Yeah, so you just see you sliding in like it's a water slide to his stomach. It's the worst.
He eats you in one gulp like Brad Shoemaker.
Yeah, I was afraid that's what it would be, so that's why I have never died on any of that section ever.
Yeah, the whole time.
Like, no, fuck this.
I do the under the bed, I run past it, I'm like, what if he fucking pops up out of the left for no reason? I really don't need that to happen right now.
Fuck that boss though. Quote unquote boss.
Oh yeah, where she appears randomly in this room. It's like, great.
Try and find me. It's the one challenge that I haven't cleared of the 4 main bosses. They're like, do it in 1 minute and 40 seconds. That requires you to do it perfectly. Like, you need to run to the spawn parts, and since the second and at least the third is random, from my experience, because the first one's always up the stairs in that small room, you need to go directly to where you think the spawn is.
That's not even, the first one's not even guaranteed. Because I've had her appear in the floor in the first
all random.
Room.
The random's weird then, because I got that one like 15 times, because I kept retrying, like, no, I fucked it up. I didn't turn that corner immediately. Still didn't clear it. It's ridiculous. Like, I thought it was cute, and the fucking dolls, like, shaking and gyrating make me go, man, I don't like this. And it was like, the other timer ones were relatively easy to do. The easiest one is Moreau, which is that fish boss.
Funniest cutscene in the game is when you steal the thing from him, and he's just like, he cries and pisses himself for like 30 seconds, and then goes, I tricked you while you were shocked at me shitting and pissing myself. I sealed the exit with goo, and then forces you to do his horrible section.
And it's at the same time, like, but you didn't. I'm not stuck here though. You just walk outside and get on a boat. It's really. It's his biggest L ever.
Yeah, but your entrance is gone.
For some reason, you can't just shoot a grenade at the goo blocking your way out like you could all the other goo in the game.
I mean, it's the same as you can't just hop a fence to get to the end of Dark Souls 2. or whatever the fuck, whatever contrived.
Yeah. Instead, you have to kill 4 of the most powerful creatures in existence to open a door.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually liked Moreau's section where it's just a lot of move fast through this area, like knock this shit down in the environment to like progress.
Yeah, I actually do like that area a lot.
If I was making this game, I would actually just move him as the second thing you do, because I feel like they overly congest the puzzle stuff, because that's mostly what the horror house Beneviento part is. And I feel like if you switched those two, it would feel a little less front-loaded in that way. I don't know, I just felt like putting most of the puzzle stuff in the front of the game seemed a little weird. Also, having a fairly long section with the castle being followed up with a 20-minute long section just felt weird. It almost gives you the vibe that what if all of them are like that?
I mean, yeah, that's what when me and Dan got out of the castle during a live stream, it was like, oh, these other 3 things are not going to be like that. They're going to be super short, aren't they? And basically, that's the case.
Then you hit that house. Then you hit that house that's incredibly short. Then you do Moreau's, which isn't as short and actually
it's
has
still pretty short.
Yeah, it's real short.
Yeah, it's not as short, but it's got a little bit more. But then you hit that factory, and it's like this is like the castle, but it's more of a linear, like run and gun your way until they're like, okay, now take the chemo back down. And I'm like, also, yeah, it's dark now.
You also had the combat gauntlet he sends you to. He's like, you have too much ammo and shit. Go fight 400 guys.
And then you realize none of those fights are required. So then you go up the stronghold, run past the enemies, use the zip line, keep climbing, and the only forced fight in that entire thing is the boss. Which I think is hilarious. I was like, wait a minute. None of these dudes drop a key.
Yeah, no.
The closest thing to a forced fight is I pulled these levers. I have to wait like 30 seconds, but I guess I could pop a couple of them.
Another thing I noticed in my knife run, I don't think after you block with the knife, you can do a counter. At least not Chris's knife.
Chris's knife had like some weird thing where like you hold, I think it's the left trigger, and you can do like a different type of hit where it's like an upward like stab instead of just the normal like slice.
Yeah,
I didn't really do anything with it.
I think the regular knife has something like that too, but I don't think it actually does anything different. Like, it seems weird not to be able to knock them back when you have the knife.
Doing a knife run on casual while trying to get the under 3 hours achievement. Really funny when it's like, okay, you got to take on one of Dimitrescu's daughters. Slap them twice, already turning to stone.
God, Dimitrescu sucks so bad, and her daughters too. It's so funny to hear her just scream as she realizes that this schmuck killed all 3 of her daughters in like the span of like 30 minutes.
My beautiful line has been done in by the likes of you.
That's the point where I wanted Ethan to have his one really harsh line where he just yells like, "You're a bitch and your daughters are too," as she's like turning to stone after the boss fight.
That would have been pretty good.
Yeah, how are we feeling on bosses? Like, Bob, what was your favorite like boss?
It probably was the stupid gimmick boss. Where you're
Heisenberg.
where you're on your lawnmower that you've bought it out.
God, whatever. It's fun as shit, and you just the explosions happening, and especially toward the end, the pieces of him everywhere.
Yeah, like it'll do the crazy. It feels like it should be a DMC game almost, where he lifts you up along with the car, and you like are grabbing between different pieces of metal.
It's so sick. It's like you're now like 80 feet in the air. He's getting ready to fuck you, but you found the turret. You're gonna fire it in the air down at him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he gets so mad because all the bombs go off in the factory because Chris has caused problems that he calls him a boulder punching asshole.
How does he know about that? How does he know?
I assume Chris has put out statements.
he's had to put out he's put out those reports. Chris Redfield, kind of a big deal.
It feels almost guaranteed that, like, I feel like it's almost certain, especially since they said that there won't be a Resident Evil in 2022, that we get some kind of, like, here's what Chris is doing throughout RE8. So maybe he has a run-in with Heisenberg and somehow passed a punch a Boulder.
Yeah, I hope if they do a Chris DLC, they flesh out his combat more. Because that'd be real good.
I could see that as like a DLC. They're like, hey, Chris is active in this zone. You could just have him and his team do stuff. Then you go through like all the concept art. This game's loaded with stuff you can look at. And they're like, despite them not really doing anything, we have like everything planned out for that entire squad for Chris.
Yeah, it's super weird that the squad didn't feel like we got anything on them. We just got names and a little bit of dialogue, but I was hoping that we'd get some tie-ins to older games, like we find out Cheva or anything.
Yeah, I really want them to like reintegrate Hunk back into the timeline, and I think that would be a really good place for Hunk.
Yeah, they have like full art for all of those characters unmasked and everything for his Hound Wolf squad.
Wow. I did not expect that.
Really? I didn't know they had unmasked.
Yeah, but I think it's, I don't know if it's a part of the pre-order deluxe edition set of art, because they have two sets of art you can get. There's the concept art from the challenge thing, but then they have the tragedy of Ethan Winters concept art that has stuff from 7 and 8 of like early designs. Some of the other stuff that's like, here's concept art when we're gonna just let Ada Wong be in this game.
Huh.
God, that's another thing I hope is in the DLC. Fucking Ada Wong dressed as a Bloodborne hunter.
Yeah, she has like a plague doctor outfit. Originally, she was just gonna randomly help you, which I'm like, I don't know if that necessarily would have. I feel like that would have weakened things slightly, because I feel like part of the appeal here is that Ethan Winters has almost no help at all times. He just tanks every hit. I don't think he necessarily needed that.
They were going to put her in there like, no, then she's cheating on Leon. We can't do that. She only does this for him.
That is true. Yes. Chris wouldn't have allowed it.
Yes.
I don't even know who she'd be working for now.
They probably also didn't want to figure that out either.
I guess the BSAA?
I don't know. They don't.
That stuff's even crazier, because I did want to get into some of the lore things here, especially with that, where if you pay the extra money to get the deluxe edition of this game, it comes with an 80-page document called the Baker Incident Report that not only tells you what happened in the last game, written from a different perspective, but also goes into stuff leading into this game that the game mentions even. Where it's like, oh yeah, Chris isn't a fan of the BSAA anymore, because they completely tried to cover up everything that happened in RE7, because they clearly wanted stuff involving the mold, and also talking about the terrorist organization that Mia was a part of, and that the leader of it is a umbrella scientist from Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, I wish that we got more lore dump, honestly. Like, I want them to do a game where we get to play as a character who cares about things involving Resident Evil lore, instead of Ethan, who's just like, daughter.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be like the next one that isn't a remake that they'll do, because there's a lot going on.
Even in 7, we started introducing this thing where Chris works for Neo Umbrella, and that's kind of huge.
Blue Umbrella. But by the way, like the tying in of the Umbrella logo to this village, it's
very good. I decided to base my organization upon what I saw on those rocks. I'm like, sure, that's fine. Fucking everything about Resident Evil's cornball, so they're just being themselves.
I guess. I do think it was funny how there's like the room in Chris's section that is just, here's Miranda like giving a thumbs up with Spencer.
Yes, that one lore room that Chris finds, and it's like, oh yeah, I can pay attention to stuff.
I like each individual book that tells you why each of the main bosses are fucked up and cannot be a vessel for Miranda's child. Where it's like, I couldn't pick Donna because she's mentally ill because of the virus, and has just spread her energy across dolls.
And Dimitrescu is like requires blood to not just fall apart.
Yeah, she can't regenerate unless she has blood regularly.
And then
with the
Eisenberg is like, he's
Moreau is
perfect.
Moreau.
Eisenberg
He's
is perfect, but no.
his vibes are horrendous, Bob. I don't want my daughter to sound like Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Very good performance. It does bother me. It's like, why'd you turn into a monster? It feels like you were more powerful before you did that.
Yeah, no, that's something that's super upsetting.
He did the same move. He did the same thing as a fight intro from one of the X-Men fighting games on PS2, where he just uses a bunch of metal as staircases as he walks down, and he looks like such a Chad. And then in the same cutscene, he turns into a Resident Evil boss.
Yeah, he had the unfortunate debuff of being a Resident Evil boss. And like every single Resident Evil character in this, he's incredibly stupid.
Yeah, every single character in this is so stupid. Especially Chris. Can we give the Yamcha award to Chris?
Why?
Let me count the ways. I shot this BOW in the head like 4 times. It's over. They're dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, Chris.
You shot
How many of these things have you dealt with?
3,000 times and then hit him with rocket launches and volcano. We're still not sure if he's dead, Chris.
And he didn't he like have to inject Wesker with the debuff serum in the middle of that boss fight?
Yes.
It's like, Chris, you shoot her in the head, and then you're like, okay, bring in the flamethrower team. We'll keep her in a lunchbox.
We're gonna atomize the entire fucking house.
Yeah. And it's like, you couldn't tell Ethan that wasn't his wife.
No.
He knew he'd want to get involved.
Like, is we treat him on a bus and take him closer to being involved.
Yeah. On the same bus as his child and the corpse of this monster. At least in Chris's section, they flat out say Chris is wrong instead of trying to play it like he did something reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen they're trying to characterize him as like he's doesn't want to tell anyone about anything because then they'll want to get involved. Because every single thing that has happened to him in recent games he's been in has just been him getting owned or his group getting owned. Like, I know in 6, like, his entire crew gets fucked up. And in 7's DLC, his entire crew gets fucked up by the dumbest Juggalo villain I've ever seen.
It is weird that that's what
like,
they've written Chris is having to deal with now for the last, 10 years?
Can we have a game where we play as Chris again and he doesn't spend the whole thing getting owned?
So, like, his vibe is, I don't want to lose any more people. I'm going to do whatever I can to just solo this. I don't care if Ethan somehow defeated multiple bioweapons the last game. No, I don't want him dying. And then the game ends with him like, God damn it.
Did anybody else like think at first in the cutscene where you first meet Chris in the basement of the factory and you give him the wrench? Did anybody else think Chris just hit him? Because it goes black as soon as that happens.
Yeah. I in my stream bot, it's like, he's going to hit me with this, ain't he?
Yeah, it has that vibe.
The cut there's awkward that made me feel like I'm gonna wake up and he's just gone, and it's like I'll have to keep going. Was anyone else afraid when you get knocked off right before you meet Chris, you get knocked to the very bottom of the factory, that they were gonna make you do all that shit again? And like the elevator wasn't gonna work this time?
No, I wasn't really worried about that.
I got spoiled on the fact that I knew some people said the factory was bad, that I was like, this is gonna be why they hate it. Because I was loving it the whole time. So I was like, this is the part they're going to hate. They're going to make you do it again. I was like, oh, no, we're about to hit the coolest boss fight instead.
But yeah, I absolutely thought that because all throughout that stage, every time Easton gets to a new section, he's like, oh my God, it's still going?
Like, and I was like, this is fine. You continue to introduce different enemies. So it was relatively, like, okay for me. Where I was like, okay, if it was just... If it was Resident Evil 7, it'd be the worst thing in the world because they made 2 enemies for that game. But this is like there's 7 enemy types for 1 zone.
Yeah, did anyone else have a problem with the whole game being too dark?
I jacked up the brightness because I streamed this for the first time, keeps complaining about the brightness in every video game I played, so I blew it out a little bit.
Yeah, I should have done that because it's like the factory is the absolute worst one. Everything is black.
Oh yeah, I didn't have any. I think my brightness is good to the point where I Had no problem with vision except for the part where they want it to be a problem, like when the power goes out in Donna's house, or you're going downstairs in Donna's house where it's like they want it to be dark except for like a little bit of light.
I didn't have problems in my first playthrough because I had HDR off, but in the second one where I had HDR on, I'm like, damn, this is really dark.
Oh yeah, I also didn't have HDR on. I don't know if you did, Bob.
I did for my the later playthroughs. But yeah, it's weird. And I think, again, if it were third person, it'd be a lot easier to deal with navigating.
Yeah, I do agree with you where it's like, I'm probably the highest on the first person gameplay. Like, I had no problem with it aside from maybe wanting a follow-up. But if you're giving me the choice, I'm going to pick the third person perspective.
Also,
I feel like they could have still done it, but have Ethan's face be a dark void.
That would be pretty funny.
Yes.
Picking up stuff needs to work better. Like, there's so many times where I'm like, looking right at this, Easton. What I gotta do to get you to pick up this $10?
And other times you're 4 seconds away from it, it's behind you, but you can still pick it up.
Yes.
So I really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You notice that a lot in Mercenaries
I'm pretty sure at one point I picked something up through a wall.
Yeah, I think that happened to me too. Like, it's just weird and doesn't work right.
Yeah, it's not 100% all there. Were there any other character performances that you really liked or stood out that weren't Heisenberg, which was just RE3 Nikolai doing a Nicolas Cage impression? Like,
that was the highlight.
Mia's performance was really good in making me hate her.
Yes.
Well, she's done nothing wrong. She was only working
Except
for
all
a
the war
terrorist.
crimes she did.
Yeah, she works for a terrorist organization that is explicitly being told as their goal is to make money and kill people.
Yeah, I thought there'd be any repercussion for that. Anything. But it's really, they just play her as the tragic heroine almost at the end of like, oh no, she's his wife and everything's fine.
In the Baker incident report thing you give with the deluxe edition, they just have a section of, here's a transcript of them interviewing the Winters family, where they're like, so you're going to let us go? It's like, yeah, no one's going to jail or anything, but we want to supervise her and you'll be forced into witness protection in Europe.
Yeah, we're going to put you right next to the people that we know want to get you. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's a...
But then it's also like, this is like the BSAA directly, and then we learn that it's like, oh, they're evil now, and they straight up are using bioweapons as their soldiers.
Let's go resolve that. Not resolved 18-year time jump.
Yeah. Well, maybe 15 or 16. Like, she's a teenager. We don't know how old she is.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I saw some people questioning even if it's a time jump, because people looked at like details at the start of the game where they're like, apparently when Rose was born, she was 18 pounds.
Yeah, she could just age super
longer.
fast. I was going to bring that up of like, okay, is it a time jump or is this super fast aging? It's unclear.
I watched Maximilian stream. He's like, this is like 3 times the normal baby. Like, in terms of like the specs on this kid. Like, what?
Yeah, that is...
Is Mia okay?
I don't think so.
So Rose will be the protagonist of RE9, right? That feels like almost certain with this weird ending.
Maybe.
Especially how it says, the father's story is now done.
Right. Like, it definitely feels like they're leading that way. But I think they could still pivot to something else if they wanted to. I assume nothing's set in stone yet.
Yeah, maybe. If it's Rose, please just let her have some sort of superpower.
Oh yeah, if it's Rose and she doesn't have crazy powers, then that's kind of crazy. It's kind of insane.
She like, gets the third person game with superpowers.
I don't need her to have tons of superpowers or be like a different genre, but something where it's like maybe she has like a meter and she can just explode BOWs.
Yeah, I assume that she's become Alice from the Resident Evil movies. That's my assumption.
Holy shit.
Damn it. Oh God, what if this is like them trying to do that?
What, you guys not get that?
No, I've never seen those fucking movies.
Resident Evil 9.
I've never seen those movies, Bob, any of them.
Okay.
My time has come! I know there's a shot, I think, where Alice's eye turns into the Umbrella logo, like a Sharingan.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I saw what I saw 12 years ago, whichever one had Nemesis in it. I remember that vaguely.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure she does have the power of looking at BOWs and making them explode.
Okay, that sounds really good.
Because she could like rot their minds or something. It's weird.
So, you know what my favorite part of the Miranda fight was?
Which part?
When she turns into the final boss of RE4 for no reason.
Oh yeah, her spider form just being Sadler.
Yeah. It's like, come on. You can't keep doing this. It's distracting. It's just like, no, I'm just going to go.
I didn't notice it until you mentioned it.
Because it's 4 legs that are shaped exactly the same way with joints in the same places. It's like, oh, you're really the exact same thing, huh?
Yeah. Everything in this game. Everything seems to be in service of Resident Evil 4 remake. It's kind of insane.
As God intended.
Like I can see them doing that. That's their MO with these RE Engine games is like, we're gonna make a lot of stuff and you're gonna make sure you use it again. They're making RE2 over there. Would they need those bolt cutters?
Why were the bolt cutters in this game?
Look,
yeah, I know.
Bolt cutters in this game.
Bolt cutters need to be in every game. I will defend this.
They're in the game for 15 seconds.
Yes.
I forgot they existed. I was like, why aren't you letting me shoot the chain? Like why can't I just
It feels like they wanted you to carry it and they're like, no, that's stupid. So just have them do it once for no reason and then you shoot the rest.
Yeah, it's really funny.
I also feel like that some of those optional rooms, specifically the one with the fire puzzle, is just like, this is the same textures as the fucked up Egypt tombs in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
See, it's hard to tell because I feel like you're in the mode looking for it now where you're like, was this because of that?
No, because I stepped into that room the first time and it's like, is this the fucking Egypt room?
You know what this was missing? During the Moreau part, there should have been a minecart level that leads you to the boats.
Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't any bizarre, like, metal trap house that you enter that's suspended in midair.
Now, you said trap, and it reminded me that, man, this game's a lot better now that I don't have to go into a fucking VHS tape and then play that section and then play it again, but don't fall for the obvious traps, and no one is a bad version of Jigsaw this time.
Oh, yeah. I guess the dollhouse section is like this game's version of the Juggalo section in RE7.
But not bad. It's not trying to be that exact kind of horror film that is Saw, so it's not the same thing.
As an aside, like Lucas Baker, the fucking Juggalo. Did anybody else think it was funny how they're just like in RE7? I'm going back a little bit just because I think this is funny. He's like, yeah, he's a piece of shit who killed somebody when he was like 4, but then you get the section of like Jack Baker's spirit telling you his family is sorry. And I'm like, I don't think Lucas is sorry. I think Lucas is just evil.
Yeah.
Even beforehand.
Well, there's the whole thing that he like he becomes unaffected by the mold and like going based on files and other stuff, because you do that DLC and it's like he's fine. He just fucking injects himself with stuff to become a boss fight. So it feels like he's almost like disowned by his own family, where he's like a separate entity, it feels like. Where it's like, no, he's always fucked up. He also directly works with these terrorists.
Yeah, it is weird that he is just actually evil and the rest of the family wasn't, and Baker or Joe Baker just kind of shuffles that under the rug.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. You play that DLC and then he sees Chris through the window at the end and he's like, oh shit, oh fuck, I gotta go. This Chris doesn't look like Chris at all. He's very skinny.
Yeah, thank God they didn't keep just having Chris. Jesus.
RE7 Chris is so bad. He looks nothing like Chris at all.
Imagine if that was what they went with and that was what was on the cover of this game.
Like werewolf that Chris?
Yes.
No.
That promo art really made me think that man was going Lycan this time instead of just, no, he's just a brick shit house still.
Yeah, no, they really wanted to make you think that he'd actually be evil. That's why you couldn't believe him.
What's the reason? What's the reason Chris did all this? He's really bad at communicating.
Because he's he's gone through a lot of stuff that has made him stupid. Unfortunately, God, that entire like last section where it's like you play as him. I will admit, they sold me on it very quickly. I was like, oh, I guess Ethan really is just dead. I guess the finale of this game will just be Chris. It's like this is their big twist where it's like the last couple hours you will just be playing as a different character now.
I didn't buy it because there was too much hype up about something with Ethan being super powered. Like,
yeah,
there was too much of that going on. I honestly thought he would come back and be way more powerful.
Yeah, I really thought that there would be like, now he has like a mold sword arm while fighting Miranda.
mold sword.
I thought that he'd grow his fingers back and, be pretty, like, maybe take control of the creatures around that area. Like, no, he's dominating it and she can't anymore.
Yeah, but I was completely in on like, oh, I guess he's gone. So when they reveal Jack Baker killed you in the intro to Resident Evil 7, that's why every fucking cartoon thing that happens makes sense. I was like, this is the best. This is like the best.
This is so good.
This twist is so fucking strong. I'm like, of course. That's why Lady D says your blood is stale, but the vampires made of bugs are like, I think this tastes great.
Yeah,
like, of course you think that.
It just needed Evelyn to give him superpowers for one scene. That's all it needed to be truly perfect, where he's just like, yeah, you're dying, but now you can use these superpowers to own the shit out of Miranda.
Right? Like, if your hands were just decaying.
Unfortunately, Evelyn is a piece of shit and just wants to laugh at you and call you stupid.
Man, what the fuck was that BSAA agent's problem in the end?
What do you mean?
Where he calls Rose Evelyn. Like, what the fuck's wrong with that dude?
Oh, you mean that guy? Because I don't think he was BSAA because he's working with Chris. So
yeah,
but
like whoever whatever type he is, he's just like stupid.
Yeah, that was the dumbest thing possible.
It's like you're about to get fucked up. Like, please be careful.
The dude that looks bizarrely like Dan Southworth, but is not voiced by him.
God.
Anyone else bothered by how Ethan was like, no, I'm not going to walk another 5 steps. I'm going to go back. I'm going to blow myself up. It was really weird.
He's crumbling. It's done.
Yeah, he's crumbling and it's done, but it does him no good or anyone any good if he goes back. Like, they could have sold it on like, okay, he needs to stay here and hold something off, or he needs to do something. Instead, it's just he takes the explosive trigger. So he doesn't even know if Chris and his wife are far enough away to hit it.
Hey, I think Chris put a lot of trust in Ethan for his hands to not crumble to dust before he can apply pressure to a button.
Yeah, it was...
Whatever, it let him that dramatic Chad moment of just walking forward and fucking hitting the button.
It's a good moment, but you need to sell it. And they didn't at all. It was the biggest, no, you didn't earn this of the game, I feel.
Oh, I was all in. I was like, wait, it's over. His heart got ripped out an hour ago. I'm surprised the mold even lets him move. I was worried he was like gonna have shitty movement for the final boss even. I was like, uh-oh, I'm still like moving real fucked up before I get in here.
Yeah, that was bad.
That boss is pretty good. Having gone through it a few times, knifing it, doing other variations, like it's got some decent patterns to it. You can like blow up its projectiles. Knife only run was a little annoying where it's like you can shoot environmental stuff, but if you hit something that counts, that part where Chris says, hey, I need to shoot the beam on the giant Las Plagas thing right before the Mega Mycete, that counts as using a gun.
Yeah.
Despite them letting you use it in the section 10 seconds ago.
Well, you were using it on environment.
Casey didn't save until 30 minutes ago, so he has to go redo some stuff now because that counted as a shot.
Yeah, I
was upset about it.
I saved right after that because it just told me it was fine, and then it lied to me and it wasn't fine, and I had already saved. So I was like, yeah, I lost 2.5 hours. Great. Thank you. That
second time, I just checked every 4 minutes.
Yeah, I should have. I was being really good about it. I was being incredibly good about it until it literally showed me that tool not affecting the number. And then in the next scene it did.
Oh, and it also does affect the number if you miss. I fucked up again because I missed because you're weaving around while you're holding the trigger to fill the meter so the dude can airstrike the giant Mega Mycete stuff.
Yeah.
And I walked backward into the left, and I just barely grazed a fence, so it shot 2 feet in front of me. And that counted as me shooting someone and applied the count. I finished the section not realizing that it is added into the count. It is auto-saved. Load back.
Yeah, that section should not affect it.
Not a well-thought-out trophy.
No.
Yeah, it's got a few parts that are just kind of, like, broken to it. I still think it's funny. It's like, they describe the challenge as you can use guns in the Heisenberg part when you're on the mech and when the final battle against Miranda. And that read to me as, you get to shoot Miranda when you have unlimited ammo during the final 10 seconds. No, that is not what that means.
Wait, what?
That means... No, they're like, you can use the gun when she's charging the big ball. Like, they want you to use it there to blow up the ball to make her fall down.
What?
Yeah, you know that part where it's like after you've done a lot of damage, she's holding you down and charging a giant yellow spirit bomb and you have to shoot it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use that. That counts because that's like an environmental thing. And they won't penalize you for that. But they still want you in the final battle to just fucking knife her at the end, which is a little awkward because she's like really far away and she's like slowly moving in on you.
Yeah, I figured that it meant that part because that would make sense.
No.
Man. Yeah, that trophy's really roughly put together.
Yeah, there's some parts that just make it kind of fall apart a little bit, but whatever, they gave me 70,000 points, so I guess it's okay. I needed that. I needed that for my guns. So that felt pretty good. That and the fact that enemies infinitely spawn during the crisp part, so I just got the trophy, or the achievements for the pistol and the machine gun through that. Kills for them. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this. I was like, why not? This works out. But yeah, we should start winding down here.
Yeah.
I feel like Phil or Bob, is there anything that we haven't talked about? Anything about the game at all that we haven't gotten to, or something you want to talk about?
I feel like we hit most of the things I wanted to, so I'm good.
Okay, how about Phil?
Yeah, there's nothing that's really jumping out at me. I think I got everything.
Okay, well, I feel somewhat in the same place. So what we're gonna do now is give our final thoughts and a score of 1 to 10, and how we feel about the game. Bob, we'll start with you. What's your review and score?
I think that the story and a lot of things they do, like environmental wise and like character wise, are really cool in Resident Evil 8. But it's really held back by its own like gameplay. And Mercenaries mode is so disappointing. So I'm gonna give it a 7. Like, this would honestly be a 7.5 in my head, but we don't really do half scores, so I'm not gonna give it that boost all the way up to an 8 because I don't feel like it earns that, especially doing these other runs where there's weird problems. But yeah, I'm gonna go with 7.
All right, Phil.
I'm gonna give it an 8. There's problems, and it could definitely be better. But I had a lot of fun in my initial run, and even the second two, the one I did on casual and the one I'm doing on the harder difficulty, I'm having a good time with, and I probably will beat it on, Village of Shadows, because it's not as good as RE4, but it still kind of makes me feel like RE4 does, so I'm obligated to like
the monkey part of your brain's like,
yeah, upgrading things and collecting treasure still sets off my monkey brain. I'm like,
same. All right, well, I like this a lot more than I was expecting to. Despite being like, all right, with 7, I still had many problems with it. This fixed every single one of those for me. Just in terms of, I'm more interested in the types of scares and environment and atmosphere they're going for here. I think the gameplay leveled up a decent bit, and I do enjoy it. I think the story is one of the better ones in the whole series for me, where I actually kind of gave a shit a little bit. I thought it had some really solid moments. Liked the bosses quite a bit and the puzzles and stuff. And I've gone through it several times. I was going to plat it, but mercenary modes exist, and that ruined that dream. But overall, I really enjoy it. Right now, it's sitting as my like game of the year so far. I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it a 9. It could have achieved something better if they tightened up some of the stuff like the map in the village a little bit, though I did like exploring it. If they could have tightened up, making it make sense and that it's not lying to me, that would have been great.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
A follow up in the combat thing to maybe let me punch, and make the mercenary mode simply make it good and cut that second half of levels. I could probably push it higher, but it's just like a 9 for me. But I still thought it was fantastic. Had a great time. But with that, we came in here. We had a possible max score of like 30 because it's just the three of us, and we came out with a 24. That's pretty high. We all had a decent time.
Yeah, this wasn't
average score at 8 puts it up ahead of a lot of things.
Yeah.
This thing got itself a 24, and 24 is pretty good. I'm looking at some of the other stuff that we've scored on here.
It didn't immediately crash when we booted it, so it's doing better than some things.
Yeah,
beat Demon Souls even with one entire person missing.
Oh my god, you're right. It beat it by 1 point. Just think about this. All it had to do, if Dan came in here and was like, "This game sucks," it's a 4. It still beats Astral Chain.
Oh my god.
And Pokemon Sword and Shield.
It's good
and
to see
Jedi Fallen Order.
With 3 of us, it beat The Last of Us Part 2 by 50%. Anyway, that's gonna do it for the Resident Evil Village spoiler cast. We'd like to thank you all for listening. I don't know, like, subscribe, write a review on our podcast on the podcast web zone.
And visit galaxybrains.com.